The bidding for Bryce Harper will start at a number you wouldn't believe. You're watching the lineup. Welcome to the lineup, everybody. I'm Joshua Adams. To my left is Jeff, the Hammer Matthews. We have not been on the air for a month now. Our last show was actually the 27th of September. Each week we had individual and separate logistical issues that kept us from being on the air. But that's no fun, so I'm going to give the real explanation. Jeff disappeared for the entire month. He was in the woods somewhere. He told me Dunbar Cave Road, and that's all I know. It's a long road, but he was 2 miles off the road. I found him eventually in a cabin. He was living like a mountain man. He was chopping wood, wearing flannel. He was actually wearing that shirt that he's wearing right now. He was chopping wood. It took 6 hours in front of the fire on that cabin, drinking hard cider, to convince him to come back to the show. So Jeff, thank you for coming back.
And by all of that, I think he meant school took over my life, and by cabin he meant my apartment, and by hard cider he meant coffee, because of all the nights I spent up writing papers and living college life.
So you've received 2 explanations. Believe what you want. Yeah.
Take your pick.
Believe what you want. I don't know.
I don't know what we did.
The entirety of the beginning of the rounds of the playoffs came and went. We're going to start with the National League. So the National League, the division series weren't really that competitive this year. They really weren't.
It was fairly disappointing.
A little,
honestly.
The wild card game, the Braves, the Rockies and the Cubs were in the wild card game. The Cubs lost all their momentum heading into the wild card game. The Rockies took advantage of that and then ran into the freight train that was the Brewers. So
Right.
that kind of stopped.
The Brewers, we knew that as we were watching into the playoffs, we knew that the Brewers were going to be a powerhouse team, and yeah.
That's it. That's all you had.
That's all I had, really.
They gonna be powerhouse. That's it. That's
Period.
Good.
End of discussion.
Yeah. The Braves.
We don't need to talk about
I actually
that.
sent you a text. The Braves looked like a JV team
They did.
versus the Dodgers. I mean, they have a lot of players that are actually around our age. I think 4 or 5, right? They have.
Yeah. Actually, I think I'm older than.
Than Acuna.
I think I'm older than Acuna.
Yeah. So the Dodgers actually, as we've discussed, they weren't really that big of a team. That good of a team for the first half of the season, but they kind of got it going. They were just so talented that they had so many players that were performing at probably about 60%.
Right.
That it got them into the playoffs, and they're now in the World Series. As far as the American League goes, the wild card game, pretty much from the get-go, as soon as Aaron Judge hit that home run, you were like, sayonara Athletics. It's out.
Even though we both wanted the Athletics.
We both wanted the Athletics. I wanted it to be an Athletics Brewers World Series.
That would have been crazy.
Horrible ratings. That would have
Bad,
been 2 million people each game. No one would have watched that at all.
I would have watched it.
I would have watched that. So the Yankees then went on to lose against the powerhouse Red Sox. And in the other division series, the Cleveland Indians, who had no right to even be in the playoffs because they were terrible, lost to the Astros. The Astros faced the Red Sox. The Red Sox beat the Astros, and that's why it's Red Sox, Dodgers right now. Completely unrelated to the playoffs, but probably related to next year's. Rumors say the bidding for Bryce Harper is going to start at 10 years and $350 million. Jeff, I think your smile is worth that. It is worth 10 years of my life to see you smile.
Wow,
It is
of your
worth
life, wow.
Of my life. It is worth $350 million just to see you smile.
I tell you what, when you told me, because me and you discussed this prior to the show, when you told me that it was for 10 years, $350 million, I almost felt like bad for the team.
The team that's going to pay for that?
Yeah, because I'm going to be honest, it's the sports world. The sports world is too unpredictable for you to put a 10-year lease on a player, right? 10 years at $350 million, that is a crazy amount of money, first of all. And second of all, for 10 years, Bryce Harper could get hurt, could lose his touch. How old is he? He's pretty young right now.
He's 26.
26.
Yeah,
Hasn't
26, 27.
He's about 4 years, 5 years until he hits his athletic prime, is how you put it. There's just, I mean, there's in 4 years, there's still 6 years left on his contract.
Yeah.
I mean, is it worth that much money?
On the other side, Bryce Harper, I mean, he's going to get paid.
Absolutely.
No matter what, he's going to get paid. And the teams that are going to pay for him, you can pretty much knock out small market teams. You know, he's not, and you know, teams that aren't going to win, basically. He's not going to the Mariners. He's not going to the Marlins. But the thing with Bryce Harper is he had an all-time great season in 2015. I think he was worth 10 WAR exactly. Obviously, WAR is not, you know, just kapow. He's worth 10.
Right.
But that is an incredibly valuable season. And Mookie Betts was actually worth more this year than him. But he's really fluctuated. He's really fluctuated in with his stats. And here it is. Like, it's just, he'll have one great year. Like in 2015, his batting average was .330 and his on-base percentage was .460. Which is unreal. That's all universe.
Yeah.
But then he took a step back in 2016 and in 2017 to an extent as well. In 2018, he was kind of good but not great, and when people suggested he might make $400 million, he said, "Don't sell me short," which people were throwing around $500 million for Bryce Harper. First off, no human is worth $500 million.
I was about to say, wow, that is a lot of money.
That is a lot of money. But for me, if his median, you know, is 260 and whatever, you know, 28 home runs, but his median is that because he is really good one year and not great the next year, I think a consistent player that keeps that line is better than the player that's really good at one point and then just crashes down the next.
Absolutely. I would agree with that 100%. Like, if consistency is just as big as being a good player almost. Like, a good example, Chipper Jones. Big Chipper Jones fan. I am a Braves fan, so I just know Chipper Jones. But my point and like where I'm going with
just
this
had to get that in there. It's like, so Chipper Jones?
Chipper Jones.
He's a pretty good player.
Onto the next segment. We can just skip it. No. But Chipper Jones. We can
just end the show there. It's like Chipper Jones is great.
We can, and this is my opinion, but you can also look back on his stats and see. Chipper Jones was a fairly consistent ball player if you take out his injury years, right? Fairly consistent. He was batting very well. On-base percentage was very well. Home runs were very well. But other than that, you know, just being consistent is what led Chipper Jones to being great. And Bryce Harper, I don't know if he has that. Yeah,
to an extent, he's still, I mean, if you can say it, he's unproven, if you can say that. The biggest player set to hit free agency outside of Bryce Harper is Manny Machado. He is an amazing talent. He genuinely is. His bat is worth a lot. The thing is, he has a huge attitude problem.
Yes, he does.
He got thrown at by Yordano Ventura and went out and had a fist fight with him. So, you know, upstanding human being.
Absolutely.
He tried to throw his bat at a pitcher on the Athletics once, and it wound up at Josh Donaldson at third, and Donaldson just kind of walked the bat up to him. It may have been in the same game. I think it was the same season. He threw his helmet at Josh Donaldson after he thought he tagged him too hard. And now this year he says, after he didn't run out a ground ball, he says, "I'm never going to be Johnny Hustle." Is that a player you want on your team? I don't want him on the Cubs.
I don't. I wouldn't want him on the Braves. Really, to be fair, I don't want anyone with that kind of poor attitude to be on any team. Yes, he's a great ball player, but to be in this league, to be at this level, you got to have a good attitude. And to be fair, there's a lot of baseball players in this league that are not the best attitude players.
Yeah, we're not saying he's the only player.
No, he's definitely not the only one. But as of right now, he's kind of been the most outstanding with this poor attitude and the level of playing. Like, do you know what I'm trying to say here?
It's amplified. Like, if you have a poor attitude and you're a bad player, you're gone. You're just
exactly.
Gone. And, David Ross actually experienced that. When he was on the Braves, he was complaining about not getting playing time, and they just decided to cut him.
Yeah.
So he realized he needed to change, and then he became that player that is a Cubs legend now,
right?
Just because people liked him so much, and he was, you know, such a great teammate. But when you have a higher level of talent, to an extent, it brings an expectation of a higher level of character.
Yes, it does, and it should.
Yeah.
I think if there's more eyes on you and you're in an organization, you should be able to hold that character,
Yeah.
and be able to conduct yourself with integrity and with like compassion.
Yeah.
And like humble yourself.
So do you think, I'll hold my opinion for a second. Do you think this impacts him in free agency? Because people were thinking maybe he was going to get about $300 million or so. Not necessarily Bryce Harper numbers, but he is a generational talent. He is.
Absolutely. I don't think in today's world, I don't think it's going to affect his free agency that badly. My personal opinion, I think it should, but it doesn't. There's people out there who see him for the raw talent that he has, and they are willing to risk that bad PR with his name to have him on the team to make more money.
Yeah, and to an extent, that's why I think he's going to the Yankees. Didi Gregorius, I said it eventually, is down for the season with Tommy John surgery, so they need a shortstop. And we don't really know how good Manny Machado is at shortstop at this point. He came up as a shortstop, but J.J. Hardy was holding him back, so he went to third base and then won, a bajillion Gold Gloves there. But he doesn't necessarily have the range necessary for a shortstop. He's kind of got cement shoes a little bit. Obviously, he has a cannon, and if you watch any highlights of him at third base, it's just mildly upsetting to see that someone is that talented. I mean, there was one play at third base in spring training where he went, into foul territory, fielding it to his right, and he just kind of flew through it. He didn't even really turn around, and then Chris Davis at first base just caught it.
Just a normal catch.
Woo!
Just a normal catch.
That's how I threw it to first when I played. But I'm here and he's in the majors.
And that's why I feel like it's not going to hurt his free agency that much. I mean, he might lose a little bit. Might lose a little bit of money on it, but it's not going to be anything significant. You were saying $300 million.
Yeah.
That might go down to $275.
Yeah, I could see it knocking a couple years off of his contract. The World Series is happening. Who would have known if your only exposure to sports was through ESPN? More on the bane of ESPN's existence next.
How will you lead to a better future? Will you lead through life-changing innovations, or will your leadership shine through the quality of your work? Success is defined by the individual. So it's time to think about the person you want to be and where you will learn to lead through excellence. It's time to become a governor at Austin Peay.
We're back at the lineup. Joshua Adams, Jeff Matthews. The first two games of the Fall Classic have already been played, with the Red Sox taking both. So let's start with the first game. Jeff, we were kind of texting before the game, but I didn't really get what you thought of the first game. It was very competitive. I mean, what did you see?
It was, and I was at work during both of the games, so I kind of was watching it in clips and bits of it through the break room. But what I saw two teams fighting hard for this games, and the Red Sox have won both games right now. But I'll be honest, I think it's still up in the air. The Dodgers are playing well, maybe not well enough, right? Red Sox are playing well.
Yes.
2 games in, well enough, but these next 2 games are going to be very interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, it's the first, heading into the first game, one of the pregame guys, or it may have been John Smoltz, mentioned that one of the advantages that the Dodgers have over the Red Sox is their bullpen, because the Red Sox, to an extent, don't necessarily have the bullpen options that the Dodgers have. But then it's the bullpen of the Dodgers that has kind of made them lose these 2 games. Obviously, Kershaw did not pitch to Kershaw standards.
I was really upset with that because you texted me before that game, and I told you I was actually shocked that Kershaw was playing in the first game.
Really?
I felt that maybe saving him for the third game would have been a better idea. And I'm not saying I was right, but Kershaw did not pitch to Kershaw standards, like you said.
He didn't.
Pitch to the Dodger standards, and that definitely hurt them.
I don't want to throw around conspiracy theories or something, but I'm there have been so many storylines of players unintentionally tipping pitches. I'm wondering if that is the case with Kershaw, because his location looked good. The stuff was there. I think he walked 2 people, which for Kershaw, isn't the best. But I didn't see that much of a step back in his stuff. It still looked like Kershaw out there. I mean, you could say, it's the Dodgers, so they're in Los Angeles, so they're used to it being 80 degrees year round.
Right.
And they were playing in, I think it was like 45 degrees in Boston with wind chill.
Yeah.
So you could say that Boston is used to that, used to the cold, and that might be affecting it. And Kershaw was, being the big man and just wearing the jersey in 45 degree weather. So maybe that affected it, but that's all conjecture.
That honestly, me who's played sports, I say sports. Excuse me. I play Ultimate Frisbee as I have something in my throat. But the difference in weather changes when that changes, like from when it goes from summer to fall. So when it goes from hot to cold, it dramatically changes how I throw. I throw differently. I throw at different angles from it because it's different and it feels more comfortable. Same thing for Kershaw. Things are different when it's cold and when it's hot. And being in Boston, going from 80. 90 degrees, right, to 45 degrees with wind and wet and muggy.
And you have to face the Boston fans who are they're
sometimes.
I wasn't going to say atrocious.
I will.
Okay, what makes you say atrocious then? I was going to say, for lack of a better word, ravenous. Yeah.
Sometimes I have just seen those Boston fans get. I love the passion for the game.
Yeah, the passion is great.
It is, and I would definitely commend them on that. They have done a great job of staying with their team. However, there's definitely been times where I have, sat back and go,
yikes.
Why?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Like beer being thrown.
Yeah, there was
no one likes that.
And I think 2005 there was the fan that interfered with a foul ball. But I mean the Red Sox right fielder was reaching into the stands, so the fan had every right to do it. And so he interferes with the play.
Are you talking about this year's instance?
No, this was like 2005.
Okay.
So the right fielder goes into the thing. Goes into the stands. The guy tries to catch it, and then he gets pizza thrown out at him from behind. I can show you the video. It is quite funny. The guy got ejected. I mean,
yeah, I don't doubt that.
I don't know if you could press charges with that, but yeah, obviously that's not. You don't do that. That's
no,
not
you
something
don't.
you do.
No,
at all.
I remember Chipper Jones back to Chipper. Here we go. But I remember Chipper Jones talking about this on Twitter because I follow him and. I remember one time he was talking about how they would throw stuff onto the field.
Yeah.
At him when he played third base. They would.
That's impressive. That's a throw.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. But that's one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of the Red Sox fans.
Yeah. Yeah.
What were we talking about?
Yeah, what were we talking about? We kind of got off topic.
But I'll kind of drive this back.
Okay.
We were talking about a little bit of how these games were going, and you brought up, I kind of want to bring this up because I feel like it was a big deal. There was an instance in the game, if I can remember which one it was. I think it was, anyway, I think you'll probably remember this. This was this year.
Okay.
There was a ball going up in left field, I want to say. It might have been center field. And Red Sox player jumps up. Ball is almost in the stands. Like it's kind of hard to see that line.
Yeah.
And a player was reaching for the ball, and they wanted to call fan interference.
Yeah.
But I do believe that they didn't call fan interference.
Okay.
Maybe they did, and that was why it was such a controversial, because it didn't look like it was fan interference, because it looked like the glove was already in the stands.
Are you talking about at the Astros?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't necessarily think it was a bad call. I thought it made sense. Travel day today for the two remaining teams. Two very different viewpoints for how they're looking ahead. The Red Sox are probably feeling very confident, winning 2 games at home, going to warmer weather. So you're expecting to play better because it's warmer weather. Even though did they score 8 runs in both games? They scored a decent amount of runs in both games. Rick Porcello is going for the Red Sox. Walker Buehler, the man with 2 last names, is going for the Dodgers. There's going to be some offense, I'm guessing. Even though these are 2 wonderful pitchers, these are 2 amazing pitchers. Rick Porcello, to an extent, less so. I don't necessarily believe he should have won the Cy Young the year that he did. I think it was 2016 that he won it. I'm expecting offense. It's as we said before the first game with Kershaw and Sale, two of the premier pitchers in baseball. I'm expecting. I joked that the final score of the first game was going to be 9-7, and it wasn't that far off. But I'm expecting that again with this, because the Dodgers will be eager to come out and really, really hit Porcello. And the Red Sox will be really eager to continue what they're doing.
Right. And we were talking about this before. Momentum. Those first two games, that first game, that initial game, I think is one of the biggest key points of this as a series in any sports-related game. But one game, you're rolling. 2 games, you're barreling down the hill. If Red Sox win a third game,
it's over.
I will go ahead and put money. I won't actually put money, but just saying, I'll definitely say that the Red Sox will probably win this World Series if they win this third game.
At this point, I'm expecting Red Sox in 5. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking maybe the Dodgers pull this one out.
I think this upcoming game, the Dodgers will win.
I think that the Red Sox clinch it in Los Angeles. I don't think they even go back to Boston.
If the Dodgers win, I feel like it's going to be a low-scoring game.
Okay.
I think it's probably going to be like 4-2.
It's going to be all on the pitching?
I think it will. I think the Dodgers are going to have to come up with something, and I don't think their bats are going to be able to keep up with them if their bats are on, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be a huge battle between the pitchers.
The Red Sox have one of, if not the most stacked lineup in baseball. That you mentioned just before we went on that Mookie Betts might play at second base because he came up as an infielder and now he's a Gold Glove outfielder.
Yep.
So,
and he's an all-around player.
Leave some talent for someone else. But they need to keep J.D. Martinez in the lineup, and he had a 4 home run game against the Dodgers last season. So you want him in there against the Dodgers because he has that. First off, he's the best DH and one of the best overall hitters in baseball. But with that pedigree against the Dodgers, you can't not have him in the lineup. So I'm expecting to see Ian Kinsler on the bench and Mookie Betts at second. The game you can find the game on Fox tomorrow night, and we'll be watching, and we'll be sure to talk about that next week. Excuse me. Yeah, if the teleprompter could go up, please. When we come back, the only comedic segment on APSU-TV, Greenlight. Jeff Matthews, Joshua Adams. Greenlight is the final portion of our show today. We've explained what Greenlight means the past few times we've done it, so we'll just jump right into it. Today, the roast of the teams eliminated from the playoffs.
A batter is given the green light by his manager to swing at whichever pitch he wants. In the same way, we have given ourselves permission to kind of just overreact and poke fun at any part of the baseball world.
Really? I just did that whole spiel about how we're not going to explain.
I just kind of wanted my 2 cents on it.
Well, that's about how much it was worth. Okay. The Cubs lost 2 straight winner-take-all games to be eliminated from this year's playoffs. As such, this one goes out to all the bandwagon fans who are about to unsuccessfully return Javi Baez jerseys.
The Cubs scored 1 run or less in 39 games this year, second only to the Baltimore Orioles. After getting knocked out in the first game of the playoffs, the Cubs can say, hey, at least we're not the Mariners.
Inconsistency was a common complaint among Cubs fans during the season. The Cubs solved that at the end of the year by consistently being one of the worst offenses in baseball.
The National League wildcard game was ripe with what could have been controversial plays, if only the Cubs had actually won it.
No amount of Josh Donaldson could save the Indians from their true enemy, being a terrible team.
With next year being both Joe Madden and Theo Epstein's last year on the current contracts, things could go sour quickly for a franchise that won it all just a few years ago. That being said, we all look forward to the moment the Cubs go full Yankees and sign Bryce Harper and Manny Machado.
The Cubs paid Drew Smyly $3 million this year to not throw a single professional pitch for them. Come on, Theo. I could have done the same for half that.
The Oakland Athletics should consider this season a success. They achieved the highest W to NP ratio in the major leagues. For those unfamiliar, that is the highest ratio of wins to nameable players on the roster.
The A's decided to go with the opener strategy for the wild card game, starting the game with reliever Liam Hendricks. Aaron Judge decided to start the game by trying to win.
Christian Yelich is the favorite to be named the National League MVP this year. It always helps when your team actually makes an impact in the postseason, unlike the Cubs.
This is just going to be a thing for us now? Mm-hmm. Okay. Cleveland Indians manager Terry Francona was caught on camera buttoning his pants in the dugout after a bathroom break, which was quite embarrassing. He also went for a bathroom break in the bottom of the 8th inning, came back out, and his team had been eliminated from the playoffs.
The Cleveland Indians won 91 games in one of the worst divisions of all time. A good amount of their 91 wins came against what were essentially AAA teams. Adjusting accordingly for the quality of the division, the Indians won 52 games this year.
I would just like to reiterate that the Indians won 91 games in a division with 4 3.5 teams who were actively trying to lose. I have nothing to say. What the heck is that?
Realignment seems like a good idea when the Athletics won 94 games in an actual division, unlike the Indians.
The Nashville Sounds had a 72-68 record this year. Adjusting to the American League Central, that's roughly 108 wins.
I have a friend whose second cousin's T-ball team is pretty good. Maybe they could replace the Indians in the AL Central. Actually let people see some worthwhile baseball.
Umpire Angel Hernandez had 3 calls overturned by replay in the first 4 innings of an ALDS game. He is still having a better October than the Cubs.
The Indians played in 2 more games this postseason than the Cubs.
That wasn't even a joke. It was just a fact. It
was a good punch at the
that.
Cubs.
Yeah,
I just got to get them in for the show.
You got it. You got to get it in. The Colorado Rockies eliminated the Cubs from the postseason this year, and I'm pretty much fine with that. The Cubs only had to lose 1 game. The Rockies had to lose 3 in a row.
I'll take the AL playoff storylines for 200, Josh.
Answer. This bad idea led to the Yankees and Astros being eliminated from playoff contention.
What is facing the 2018 Red Sox?
Correct.
I'll take AL playoff storylines for 400, Josh.
Answer. This Houston Astro talked trash on social media only to wind up completely useless at the plate for the rest of the series.
Who is Alex Bregman?
That's correct. After not running out a ground ball during the NLCS, Manny Machado told reporters he's never going to be Johnny Hustle. If you hear that, that's the sound of Manny Machado losing $30 million with a single sentence.
AL playoff storylines for 600.
This Houston Astro complained during the ALDS his team wasn't getting enough primetime games. Ultimately, he was of no use to his team in the championship series.
Who is Alex Bregman?
What a coincidence, that's correct. We honestly don't have that much to say about the Brewers. It was a great year for a great team, and they did it all with their manager and best player yet to hit puberty.
Storylines for 800.
This third baseman for the Houston Astros batted .133 in the ALCS after complaining about his team not getting enough primetime games and also talking trash on social media.
Who is Alex Bregman?
What a coincidence. Correct again. The New York Yankees may have been eliminated from the playoffs by the Boston Red Sox. At least they went out with dignity, without losing a game by, say, 16-1, with their backup catcher pitching the final inning, or being so desperate for pitching during the season that they not only employed Lance Lynn, but actually traded specifically for him.
AL playoff storylines for 1,000.
At least the Houston Astros only paid $600,000 for this MVP candidate during the season to be dog poop at the plate during the most important series of the year.
Who is Alex Bregman?
Rumor has it the bidding for Bryce Harper is starting at 10 years and $350 million. The bidding for Manny Machado starts at the emotional toll employing Manny Machado will have on your fan base.
This postseason, we have seen many storied institutions battle it out. Red Sox versus the Yankees, Dodgers versus the Red Sox, Manny Machado versus acting like a civilized human being.
Losing a low-scoring game when your pitching performs wonderfully is now known as a DeGrom.
And ladies and gentlemen, one more thing. If you didn't notice, we didn't talk about the Braves in that segment.
We did not mention the Braves at all.
Because everyone forgot that they were in the playoffs.
I completely forgot they were in the playoffs. So we've reached the end of this special episode of the lineup because we actually had one. So that makes it special. To check out all of our previous episodes and see that pretty face once again, head over to the APSU-TV YouTube channel. For Jeff Matthews and our entire production crew, I'm Joshua Adams. Thank you for watching.